The Chinese word song is super happiness. There's no English equivalent. We define it as like 5 elements: health, family, work, friends, and hobby. Then your overall well-being is high enough to call it super happiness.
Can you share your academic background and how you started your career?
Right. So I was born in Hong Kong. I grew up in Hong Kong, and the childhood was really lively and really happy in Hong Kong. Then I did my postgraduate study in the UK, and my research was around the application of AI for cancer diagnosis and treatment planning.
So AI, that must have been sort of, not many people were looking at AI back then, were they? Or was it just beginning?
It was a long time ago, so I'm
I didn't mean to age you.
It was 1988 when I started doing AI research. Me and my supervisor devised some new approaches for helping doctors to do treatment planning and diagnosis with AI technologies.
But I have to say, it's a huge change from being a university lecturer to venture capitalist and sort of starting your own business. I mean, how challenging was that?
It was, people thought that you're crazy. And that time there were not many startups, and startup was kind of like not even a word in the dictionary, right? And but I was always like a second. In the UK, people call me a used car salesman.
A used car salesman.
So I always like talk. I try to sell concept to people, and they said, well, you should give it a try.
Now I want to ask you, why? What made you come back to Hong Kong?
Well, that was a vacation though. But then I came back, and I always wanted to actually set up my new venture in Hong Kong and China, because I had worked in like US and UK for a long time, and I really miss the environment here and also the energy. And as you might know, since you've been in Hong Kong for a long time, people are very fast here.
I have to say, 28 years, and I agree with you about energy. It's a really energetic place to be.
And at that time, China was also like the beginning of a whole new fast-paced development. So I didn't want to miss the boat. So I moved back and started our second startup. And we didn't know what to do, and I want to apply my AI knowledge on something else, not probably like healthcare anymore. So I came up with a few friends who are familiar with digital marketing. So I started applying AI on digital marketing or digital advertising. And then we were acquired by WPP, and we became part of WPP Wonderman. And I became their Chief Client Officer for Asia Pacific. So I was helping them to manage key clients in 17 countries across Asia Pacific. So there's another kind of like role that I enjoy a lot.
Well, it sounds an incredible journey from sort of starting businesses yourself to now assessing them from a happiness concept. But I wanted to ask, what's your definition of happiness?
So my happiness is, the definition is almost the same as our company's definition, because I came up with the definition, right? And well, first of all, we have to be healthy. So if we're not healthy, it's hard to be happy. So we look at ourselves on the physical and also the psychological health to make sure that the well-being is there. And then we look at the relationship with family and friends, and also look at work. So we must live and work with a purpose in mind. A lot of people actually would not be happy because they don't work or they don't live with a purpose or meaning. So we actually discovered it with a lot of help from the professors in Harvard. And then we also look at hobbies. Like, we should have some good hobbies.
So what are your hobbies?
Oh, you can see the bikes here. I live around this area near Science Park, Hong Kong Science and Technology Park. And I always bike from my home to around this area. So, and that's why we suggested to come to Science Park for this very nice chat.
I was wondering that, happiness means different things to different people. How do you assess whether a company sort of fulfills the criteria before you make an investment?
We spent the last 9 months to look at all the different tools available and matrices, and then we partly created the happiness return metrics based on global practices and partly based on our own creativity. And now we've come up with a pretty comprehensive approach and methodology to quantify the happiness that we're creating with our investments.
Oh, that's interesting. So the ability to quantify happiness, that really sounds quite an interesting concept.
Yeah, exactly. So what we do is, like, for every portfolio company, we first of all look at the stakeholders, all the stakeholders, including like the staff, the customers, the future generation, the community, the government, even the planet. And then we look at the conditions and experience of happiness for each of these stakeholders. And some of them might be like a lot more happy, and some of them might be a minus in happiness. So we aggregate all the scores to become a total aggregated score for the total happiness created by one particular portfolio company. So if we do well, that company might create more happiness, so it will be a number above 1. And if an investment fails in creating happiness and make more people sad, then the score might be like below 1.
So what do you see as some of the major challenges that startups are facing in terms of financing and also commercialization?
Right. Actually, venture capital is flooded with money. So a good startup should have no problem in raising funding from venture capital. But I think that's what we call smart money. So actually,
smart money.
Yeah, you need to raise money from the good VCs who can actually help you and also support you throughout the entire journey. For example, they can help you with commercialization, or they can help you to find the right partners to overcome challenges and to be with you in all weather. So if sometimes you may not be doing well, but then the VC can still support you and help you find solutions. Some VCs just look at money, some VCs look at philanthropy. So we are a good balance. We want a good financial return as well as impact return.
But you must have a lot of examples of sort of successful startups, but just give me a couple of examples. What do you see as some of being the really successful ones?
There are two. One is called Redefine Meat in Israel. Another one is called Plantix in Germany, but their customer base is in India. So let's look at Redefine Meat first.
But so that's interesting. So both food related.
Yeah, it's about food, but also they come with different kind of angles, like climate change, as well as reduce inequalities,
okay.
And I'll explain it a bit.
Okay.
So Redefine Meat is a company in Israel. They invented a technology to 3D print plant-based meat that gives you the whole muscle cut experience, which is unheard of in the market. So when you actually do it with your cutlery,
yes,
you actually feel like all the connecting tissues is spongy and it's chewy and put in your mouth. So it gives you the same kind of taste and texture.
This looks and tastes like real meat?
It's 99% can fool people. And in fact, they just launched in Israel already successfully. A lot of Michelin restaurants are actually trying to include in their menu.
Michelin restaurants?
Oh, yes.
Oh, that's a good endorsement.
Yeah, and now they are launching in Europe in 4 cities at the same time in mid-November. And we'll probably bring them to Asia next year.
So that's meat. So any other examples?
Yeah, we have another example called Plantix. The company is in Germany, but their customer base is in India. They actually aim to help Indian farmers, or farmers in general, to make a better living, to improve their yield, and also to better educate them so that they feel empowered in the farming. So we can use very simple smartphone to take a picture of the crop that you think has a problem. And then you take the picture and upload to the cloud, and the cloud will tell you, oh, the crop has this issue, and how to fix it, what do you need to buy to kill it, and in order to secure your field crops. So what it does is it helps farmers to be educated in the process. And in fact, the latest survey with about 500 farmers, as a representation of the millions of farmers in India, 83% of the farmers thought their quality of life has improved. And in terms of millions, right, we're talking about
Yes.
millions of farmers have that kind of feeling. Now they realize about the damage of pesticides. Now they know how to use pesticides more wisely, and which is good for our environment. And also at the same time, they think the whole family has improved their life, and which is one of our goals as well in terms of reducing inequalities. So we're actually achieving improvement in food as well as reducing inequalities in countries where we need help.
So Happiness Capital, where did the idea come from?
Well, first of all, the Lee Kum Kee family's mission statement says we strive to be the most trusted enterprise for a healthier and happier world beyond 1,000 years.
1,000 years?
1,000 years, indeed. And so our vision is very long-term, and the family also wants to benefit the community while they are doing business. So we invest in startups and venture capital funds that create products and ventures that make people happy around the world. So actually the story comes from our legacy and our corporate culture. So 133 years ago, the Lee Kum Kee founder accidentally invented oyster sauce. He overcooked oyster soup, and overnight it became oyster mud. And then he tasted it. He said, "Wow, that's great taste." So he added some other ingredient,
Right.
became today's oyster sauce, and it grew to be a global business on condiments. And then 30-something years ago, the family thought they want to bring good health to the world based on traditional Chinese medicine. So they created a herbal health supplement business based on traditional Chinese medicine, and it has become one of the biggest supply of herbal supplement in the world.
I see.
And 7 years ago, we were thinking what is the next big thing? And then we thought everyone in the world wants to be happy, which is a big unmet need.
I would agree with that.
Right. And then we thought about we need to create a few initiatives around happiness. But first of all, we need to understand what happiness is. So the family make a donation of $21 million to Harvard School of Public Health to create the Center for Health or the Lee Kum Kee Center for Health and Happiness. And so we look at what makes people happy, how to make people happy, and how to measure happiness. That forms the foundation of all our initiatives around happiness. And then we started thinking about because of one of our corporate culture called constant entrepreneurship, we want to actually support more entrepreneurial spirit. So we thought about supporting startups to create more solutions, more in faster speed.
With the vast adoption of technology, wealth management family offices can basically run their businesses anywhere in the world. So why has Happiness Capital chosen Hong Kong?
Yeah, actually there are three unique advantages of Hong Kong that we love, that we really want to continue to stay in doing business here. First of all is the talents. A talent like yourself. We have the best lawyer in town.
Eric, no need to say that, but thank you very much.
and a lot of good accountants and also fund administration. We have the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. We have a lot of talents here to support the startup ecosystems here. And the second is the location. We're in the central of location in Asia, where we can actually travel to almost all the countries in Asia within 5 hours. Sometimes I could have hop onto a flight in the morning and still came back for supper in Hong Kong. And then also for international travel to US and Israel and Europe for us, it could be just one good sleep. We'll be there and we go there for a week and come back, and we still use Hong Kong as a hub, take a rest, and also work with partners to sort out the other stuff and go for a trip again. The third thing, actually, I didn't know until I talked to some of the family officers' friends. They said Hong Kong is a fun place to live and work. So Hong Kong you have good food, you have good lifestyles, you have good friends, good people here, and and you can actually do like swimming and water sports in the summer, and you can do hiking and biking in the winter, and you can still hop on to like Japan for skiing in the weekend and come back,
Yes.
and or massage in Thailand and come back again over the weekend. So so people really enjoy lives here. Hong Kong makes it very unique, and we would love to continue to build our business in Hong Kong.
Yeah. As you said, sort of talent's important. So how do you think the current talent position is in Hong Kong in terms of transitioning Hong Kong into a leading hub for asset management and venture capital?
Right. Actually, the venture capital requires an ecosystem with a lot of different talents to support. And I think Hong Kong is well positioned. We have diverse background of talents. A lot of people actually came back from overseas and have experience.
It's a difficult question, but I'm going to ask it, or maybe not so difficult, but in 3 words, which 3 words sort of best describe Hong Kong as an international financial centre?
Yes, I said talent, location, and fun.
I wouldn't argue with that at all. It's been a real privilege to spend some time with you. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. So if I were to use 3 words to describe Hong Kong as an international financial center, I will use talent, location, and fun. So we have the best talent in town, we have the best location to travel, and we have a lot of fun to work and live in Hong Kong.